Kaveri is our life. She gives life to us. She gives prosperity. She gives health. She gives money. She gives everything that we want in our life. That is Kaveri. We believe her.
The river Kaveri is always there to take care of me. And it proved true also. When I was very sick, I survived. So I always pray River Kaveri.
You feel like all of your worries have gone away. You feel very, very connected and very down to earth, and whatever problems that everybody's having seems so small compared to what you're feeling at that time, being in that place at that moment. It's a very big place, but at the same time, it's a very small place.
And now I'd like to give a very warm welcome to a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Ravi Achar. With a diverse entrepreneurial C-level background in the defense and pharma industries in business development, strategic partnerships, startups, finance, and international business, Ravi has successfully led the establishment and growth of two very distinct and very successful organizations, which eventually led them into life sciences space, which is the current focus. He is a global entrepreneur, having conducted business in over 60 countries, establishing business relationships in Europe, Asia, South America, and Africa. So welcome to Showbiz India to the very successful global entrepreneur, Mr. Ravi Achar.
Thank you, Reshma. Thank you. Nice to be on your show.
You left India in 1980 at the age of 22 with only $800 in your pocket and came to New York City. What motivated you to go to New York City, and what are some of the obstacles that you had to overcome?
Well, I was very lucky coming from Bangalore. My parents always kind of expected me to go overseas to study. I went to some nice schools and college in Bangalore. And my father had already traveled in the 1950s to UK and France, but he had never been to the US. So I think he always wanted me to study in the US. So I had an opportunity. He had some connections, and through that introduction, I applied to a few schools in the US. So right after my engineering, I got accepted at Pace University in New York. And this was a business school right in the financial district of Manhattan. Everything I did there was for the very first time. Flying out of the country, setting up an apartment, going to school, making all new friends. Everything was for the first time. So you can imagine, young and free, to be in New York was a dream come true.
I can just imagine. Do you remember the feeling in your heart when you landed at the airport?
At JFK, yes. It was in September of 1980. It's already quite cold, and I had never seen any snow. And that year, New York City actually had a brutal winter. I didn't even have any winter clothes, and so I had to go buy a jacket. So yeah, it was fascinating because those days, very few Indian immigrants were coming over to the US at that time. I think there was less than 300,000 Indian at that time in the US. And in my school, there were only two other Indians, one young lady from Mumbai and another person from Madras. So it was very special. So yeah, it was a tremendous feeling. I look back with a lot of fond memories. I got to live there for about 4 years, did my MBA, and some of my best experiences were during that time.
What would you say are three most life-defining moments for you?
Well, one obviously was coming to the US, and that changed my life completely. I had no clue when I left India what I wanted to do or what was going to happen. Everything that I did after I came to the US, and one thing led to the other, I started working in the defense industry. I got the opportunity to work very closely with the founder of the company, traveled all over the US, and then I got into international business and traveled all over the world. And every one of those things has defined me as a person, has shaped me as a person. All the people that I met and the deals we put together and the struggles. I mean, it has not been easy, okay? There's so many ups and downs in this course of going through all of these things. And that's what's made me the person who I am today.
So did you ever feel as a young man that you were just tired of the fight and there were down times? And if so, how did you feel and get out of those times?
Good question, because yeah, it's happened to me a number of times, and nothing has come easy. I had to work very hard for it and overcome a lot of obstacles, fight a lot of battles, but I've always been the kind of person that I've always seen the good in things and good in people, and I've always been a very positive kind of person. So no matter what was happening around me, it was something negative. Things that I had to overcome, I was able to deal with it in a very positive manner. And I still do that today, because we all, come across situations where we're surrounded with negative people, unfortunately, sometimes. And you cannot always get rid of them, but you have to learn to tune it out and keep believing yourself and work at it. And so that's something that I've been able to do, and it's kept me sane. Otherwise, I'd have been ready to give it all up.
ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಭೂರಮೆ ದೇವ ಸನ್ನಿಧಿ ಬಯಸಿ ಭಿಮ್ಮನೆ ಬಂದಳೋ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮೋಹನಗಿರಿಯ ಬೆರಗಿನ ರೂಪಿನಿಂದಲಿ ನಿಂದಳೋ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಗಿಲಲಿ ಮಿಂಚಿನೋಳ್ ಕಾವೇರಿ ಹೊಳೆ ಹೊಳೆ ಹೊಳೆವಳೋ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಲವನು ತಣಿಸಿ ಜನಮನ ಹೊಲದ ಕಳೆ ಕಳೆ ಕಳೆವಳೋ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಡೆ ನೋಡಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಗರ ನಾಡಲ.
So especially right now in this world, with all of us going through a very, very difficult time, what piece of advice would you give to everyone?
Well, yeah, I know it's very difficult right now. It's unbelievable what's happening and the impact to people and families and jobs and companies. I think it starts with working on what you have. We all have something that we're good at. Look at that, and that's where you start building yourself. And you may have some weaknesses, but if you cannot fix it, that's fine. But deep inside, work on your passion. Become the best person that you can be, the best version of yourself. And through that, you will find the strength. I've been through some unbelievable circumstances, nothing like this, but the strength has come from inside me. I think we all have that. We have to believe in ourselves. And if we are confident about what we have inside us, we will find the strength to solve whatever the problems are. And all of this will pass, like everything else that has passed previously that has happened to mankind. This will pass.
So here flows a river for millions of years, and here is observed a tradition for hundreds of years, each complementing and sustaining the other, where water is not just water, but tirtha, a deity.
Ours is Coog, Kodagu, it's got. I'm a Kodoti. It's a very, very small district in Karnataka, the smallest district, and it is about 60 miles from 40 miles.
So you're a very well-rounded person. Apart from sciences, you've acted, worked on documentaries, released a wine, have written a book. So talk to us about the documentary you released. I saw it, it's beautiful. What inspired you for this endeavor?
Well, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it's a dream project of mine. It was something that I wanted to give back to my family. So from my father's side, we come from a place in the state of Karnataka in India, a place called Coorg. And that is the place where the Kaveri River actually takes birth. And then it becomes a big river as it flows down and ends up in the Bay of Bengal. And so my forefathers moved there about 240 years ago. And they were given the responsibility to take care of the temple. So I grew up with my grandmother, my father's mother, spent a lot of time with her, and she used to tell me a lot of stories about the place. And as we grew up, we went to that place many times. So she used to tell me so many stories. And finally, and those days when I was young, I didn't even think about it. But after I came over here, and then I started getting pulled back to my roots, that's when the idea came, I really need to do something. So my father and his two nephews, they had put a book together with a family tree. So I took that, made it into a nicer book. And then I said, I really need to put this into a film project. So that's what this film is about, that story. And, it's a tremendous story. I'm so fortunate to be part of that family and the story behind it.
The fog that sets in the hills and the temple area, something out of this world. That it comes middle of the day, all of a sudden you'll see the mist coming in, the fog, everything just becomes so quiet. And I've experienced that actually being in the house, in my grandfather's house. These days when you go, there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that are come there to visit.
You are also in various philanthropic organizations, including one in Bangalore, which is for cancer. And you have your personal tragedy of your own. You lost your first wife to cancer at a very young age. Tell me, what is your involvement with this Cancer Institute?
Yeah, I mean, again, by coincidence that came about, and through friends of mine, they told me about this hospital that they were starting. So we all got together and they started the hospital. So it's located in Bangalore. We've been in operation now for about 5 years. And it's only cancer care and treatment. And unfortunately, in India, it's a very sad story. More and more people have been diagnosed with cancer, and there's very few facilities that can really provide everything from the diagnosis to the surgery to the care and after cancer treatment. And I found it very interesting, but somehow all the dots seem to be connected, because at a very young age, I lost a partner, and it was very sad at that time. But I was young, I was able to manage it. But now when I see people that come through the hospital and the kind of care and treatment that they get, I'm very fortunate to be part of that.
So do you feel like your priorities have changed now with financial success?
Well, yeah, I'm always resetting my priorities. One of the things is time, where I spend my time and who I spend it with. I mean, time is a very important commodity, because there's only so much time each one of us are given to be on this planet. And so the sooner we realize how precious the time is, and so what do you do and the time you spend with the kind of people you want to be with, and what do you want to accomplish, it's all about being happy, because the American dream, the real thing is to be able to be happy and to be content with less. And if COVID has taught us anything, I think it's all about being happy with less. And so that's what I'm focusing on.
So at a young age, you've already lived such a full, creative, and exciting life. So what advice would you give our viewers about finding their purposes and experiencing life to their fullest?
Well, from my own experience, what I've been able to accomplish, if I can do that, a lot of people can do that, coming from where I came from. And so my advice would be, find your passion, work on your strength, be a good listener, be a good observer, because a lot of things that I've learned is by listening and observing and experience, allow things so that to happen so you can experience things. And that's where the growth comes from. And once you get into that frame of mind, you will see how amazingly all those dots get connected, and it'll lead you to where you want to go, whatever your definition of success is.
We really appreciate your time, and we hope to see you again very soon. Wishing you all the very best.
Thank you, Ray.
The dream I used to get in my childhood days in Talkaveri, even after that, even now, flying in the air like birds. I fly over the mountains and valleys, not over cities. It is usually over Talkaveri. This is something which I enjoyed in my life. Happiest of my time is when I spend my days in Talkaveri. That's a unique place. I have never seen a place like that on the face of the earth. On the face of this earth. It's so beautiful, so calm, so unique, so nice.
Subscribe to Showbiz India's YouTube channel and be sure to click on that bell icon for instant notifications.